question to how does your media product represent particular social groups? I'm using Camtasia for this particular question.
So we're looking at the cover of Warehouse magazine, which is a magazine that you have designed. When you designed this cover, were social groups and the representation of social groups high on your list of priorities?
No, I mean, my list of priorities wasn't about social groups. It was more about making this front cover look as clean and cutting edge as I possibly could. So if we were saying, how does this represent religion, for example, then I would say that although this artist don't mention religion whatsoever, even in my article, but I wasn't thinking about religion and how I could fill this model with cross symbols or something like that. I thought, get this striking image of a model and make it look as good, as bold as I possibly could.
So is that an oversight on your part that you haven't considered gender, or that you haven't considered race, or is that something that if the magazine continues you would look to perhaps think more seriously about in future editions?
I mean, I didn't, realistically, I didn't think about all these different types of social groups because I couldn't sit down and tick a box whenever I used a different type of social group, because especially for the front cover, it would become a cluttered, kind of unclean, it would look horrible. So I didn't think about using all these social groups. Realistically, I thought about accessibility, what I could photograph on a long-term basis. But as you said, if Warehouse was to produce, say, an edition a month, then who's to say that the next edition wouldn't include a black female on the front cover?
I understand.
Right.
So is Warehouse aimed at a particular social group? Does your cover star, DJ Hartley, does he represent the sort of person that you would think is looking to buy Warehouse magazine, would be interested in Warehouse magazine?
Well, I looked at the type of person who was still going out, still listening to house music. So I looked for the age group of about 16, so late teens to middle 20s. So I tried to use an artist that would reach out to to my specific audience, because it's quite a niche music type. You don't really find, when I did my questionnaire and I asked 40 people, do you still listen to house music? I got about 10-15% of them said yes. The others said no, that they wouldn't buy a music magazine on house music. So my magazine was aimed at the people who still listen to house music, because, especially when I was growing up, I would listen to whatever on the charts because I wasn't accessible to clubs and stuff like that.
So this is a magazine that's aimed at the sort of person that still goes out to clubs?
Yeah. Kind of.
Is it not a fact that although house music came from black clubs in Chicago, that now most of the club goers, most of the DJs, it's an anomaly really that it's a black form of music that is mostly listened to by white people.
Yeah, on my contents page here, I've got 2 white males, So it does look like I haven't used more than a white kind of male as my model. But yeah, I didn't look at race as a really important thing to include in my magazine, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's more than this one edition. We've got 3 pages here. Who's to say that in the rest of the 50 pages of that magazine it wasn't filled with black artists or female artists or stuff like that?
Is it easy to? Can we get too hung up sometimes on trying to represent ages or across all ages, when really this is a niche magazine or a niche market that you're going for?
Yeah. I mean, it is a real niche market. Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, especially with my friends. So I listen to house music quite a lot. And all my friends who listen to house music we are 17, 18. We go out to clubs. We are all evidently white males, but it's not. Yeah, like I've said, it's not what I specified. It wasn't on a high list of priorities for me. No.
So your magazine you would regard as inclusive, despite the fact that the cover is a white male. You would regard your magazine as being inclusive of social groups.
Yeah, no, of course not. I mean, I would like to think that all different types of social groups would enjoy to read the magazine. And just because I don't have a black female or a black male or an Asian male on the front cover doesn't mean that the black people in my audience aren't going to read it. I mean, if NME have a picture of Jay-Z on their front cover, I'd still pick it up.
Yes, absolutely. So when you're looking at, say, like the Journey to Ibiza feature, who would you envisage being interested in that? Who would you...
For this, I took a lot of time choosing my image, because what I thought is I want something to reach out to the audience who want to know how to DJ. So they want to learn how to DJ, especially in the article. There are a lot of questions on his experiences, any tips for a upcoming DJ and stuff like that. So I thought if I choose a kind of action shot where he's either DJing, picking up records or something like that, then it can intrigue my target audience.
So you're looking at this, if you're talking about aspiring DJs, then obviously one imagines aspiring DJs are going to be young people, exactly. Rather than you're not looking to someone with 25 years of house music records in his collection. You're looking at someone who is your age, really.
That's also why I use such a young artist, because they can relate to them. It doesn't matter that these, like I said, I wasn't just looking at a social group. I was more looking at a type of person.
Yeah, and would your prime consideration when you designed the front cover, I mean the contents pages as well, the look of the magazine throughout the magazine, would your prime consideration be the marketplace? You know,
yeah, definitely.
It's got to sell.
It's got to sell. I mean, I've always said throughout all of media, film, that why would you change something if it sells? And I'm not saying that this would sell really well, but if someone can relate to it more, then it will sell more. Within
its niche area is what you're thinking of. I mean, exactly. You're not going to be aiming for huge sales with this, but again, it's a magazine that is produced relatively cheaply. Would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I lowered the price when I chose my target audience to $1.99 because I mean nowadays you buy magazine, it's like £4 or £5.
Mm.
So I lowered it down to say students. If you're at uni, you can't afford to buy a fiver's magazine every month. Whereas if you have a £2 subscription, then you're going to look to it more.
So the spirit of it is more almost the old fanzines, rather than say Q magazine or FHM or GQ or something like that.
It's definitely.